It might be snowing, it might be sleeting, it might be full of freezing rain, but forget about all of that where you are, and you are now locked in with us to take you through the rest of whatever winter storm it might be for us, because our guest tonight certainly shook up the wrestling world and some to end 2023, because he went toe-to-toe with arguably the most dominant big man in this sport of 2023 at the main event of Dominant Breakout Wrestling's Merry Mayhem. He went toe-to-toe with them and came this close of taking that DBW Heavyweight Championship of the World from him. He's going to talk about that and some. And where does he go from here? Where's the future with him and Mr. Corey Graves, or even Chaos Conspiracy, Robert Pearson, Jacob Cassidy? Maybe I'll even ask him about that Robert Pearson haircut again and some. But forget about all of that here, because we kick off 2024 in style here throughout this week on Sportswire Radio. He's become one of our favorites. He's one of the favorites here in DBW. He must get that introduction that he's gotten before and everybody else in the locker room in DBW has gotten. So let's get right to it. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one. Sports show. They call him the big man of DBW. We are now in Big Tech's country. He is big. Fred Tex. My friend, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everyone here at Sportswire.
Definitely, yes, definitely. Your soul is mine for the rest of the evening. I'm only kidding. We'll certainly get into that, though.
Hold on here.
That was funny. I was trying to be. I'm trying to work on my stand-up. Listen, if Sportswire doesn't work these days, maybe I'll try a career in stand-up. Maybe that'll certainly appease people. But enough about that. Big Tech's a lot to get into, but I guess I should ask you the question that I asked my guest to open up the day, who was in DBW for a cup of coffee, but he's really known as the EBW IR champion of the world and EBW Pro, the infamous Montana. I have to ask you a question about a very, very good friend of yours, and is what is up with the Robert Pearson haircut?
I don't know. He said nothing to me about it. He said nothing to me about it. However, I have made a couple jokes about it already. I have said that Wolverine needs his haircut back.
Well, Aaron Jones, as you caught on Thursday, compared it to Lemmy. But obviously, you say Wolverine. But hey, maybe we can take Wolverine.
It has some Lemmy vibes, but it has that Wolverine seagull.
So you were caught. Wait a minute. Time out. You and Robert Pearson are supposed to be, really good friends, right? Obviously, you guys are supposed to be brothers, and
yeah,
you've obviously established this really special bond these last few months in DBW. But you mean to tell me you're the big man? You're Big effing Tex. You're the guy that we're stepping into Big Tex country here in DBW, and your brother Robert Pearson didn't tell you that he was getting a haircut?
No, nothing.
What kind
and
of?
I surprised people too when I cut this off. So
well, this this reminds me famously when Metallica had did Unplugged back in 1996, and in the audience, Alice in Chains, obviously, God rest
Yes.
Saint Daily Soul, they actually were in the audience, and this is when Metallica had decided to cut their hair off during the grunge alternative phase, and for the album Load, and they actually said, "Friends don't let other friends get haircuts," and maybe that's what you should have had certainly posted for Mr. Pearson, because Mr. Pearson's supposed to be a friend of yours, and big effing text. He had the audacity not to tell you about this haircut.
Yeah, I all respect to him for wanting to change the look headed into 2024 for the new season. I just don't know where he was going with the haircut.
Well, I guess we'll certainly find out. Obviously, I don't think I could get away with that because obviously on Sportswire, I think people they know me for this look, and I would be very tempted and afraid to if I cut it off to never be able to grow it back again. But rest assured, I'm not getting rid of this anytime soon until I'm dead in the grave. So you got at least 50, 60 more years of me looking like this. But obviously, big text, I'll come back to more of that in a little while. But for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, now that you've had a chance, even though I had you on before New Year's Eve in 2023, going into 24, I have to ask you now formally, how do you feel now that it's been 2 weeks and you've got a chance to reflect after the biggest match of your career, the main event of Merry Mayhem against the final boss, the Prophet of Purgatory, the most dominant big man in this sport, Mr. Judgment? How do you feel after it all is said and done and what happened in the match?
I feel like I finally proved that I belong. For the longest time, people doubted me. Like, is he just doing this as a phase? Like, is he just gonna back out
Yeah,
eventually?
you were here with us,
Stuff
and
like that.
your story was totally unique compared to a lot of people in DBW that have started out.
But I think after the match, people realized that I'm not just here to play games. I'm here to not only learn but prove why I belong. And if I do that by winning a championship, so be it. However, I don't need championships to prove the why I belong. I need good matches and I need the fan support. That's all I need to prove why I belong in this sport.
Why do you say that you need the fan support to show that you belong? I mean, I'm curious on why do you say that for exactly?
For me, it always. I originally started this gimmick with this whole big text thing as sort of a character from one of my favorite shows, The Dukes of Hazzard. It was supposed to be like a boss hog type style, the black and gold. I was gonna do it was just black and gold all the way down and everything like that. Well, I come out my first ever match and people start cheering for me. And I'm supposed to be this heel and everything like that. So
I don't
it's
see you
like
as a heel, by the way. You've got this lovable face. Yes, I watched you in the ring. You were in that singlet, and you definitely, go toe to toe with Judgment. I'm going to get to that, but I look at you with that face. You definitely have baby face written all over you. I'm just going to say, if anybody can do whatever they want,
and
Mr. Phillips can do anything he wants. It's his company, but I look at you as you're a baby face. You're all American
and
white baby face. That's what you are.
and that's exactly what it is. Like I can't be heel at all. Basically, think of me as the Rey Mysterio of the backyard scene. Basically, no matter never be heel.
Yeah, you've definitely got those qualities. Certainly, Sting comes to mind also. Sting, it was weird when Sting turned heel in WCW, and he was a little bit of a heel for a brief period of time with the Main Event Mafia and Impact. And, definitely I could see those
Exactly.
things. I'll get to comments in a few minutes. I want people to hang on tight here. Robert Pearson is going to ask a question for sure. I have no doubt about that. But, okay, so you said those things. You said you're doing it for the fans. But you also said something that's interesting, and I want to go back to it, that you feel like that you've proved that you belong. I mean, you were in a match. We were talking about this
Yep.
off the air, and I'm glad I confirmed it with you because I think that in that match you had with Judgment, that was about 19, 20 minutes. Now, I don't think in your career, not counting tag or rumble matches, you've been in a ring for 19, 20 minutes. So I'm curious, going in a match like this, I mean, does that give you, let's say, confidence going forward that, you know what, if I hung in with this guy, that yes, I got the fans now behind me, I got the fan support, but I can really go? Is that why you said you proved that you belong? I mean, talk to me about that.
I think not only was it for it was mainly for myself to prove that I belong also. Mainly for myself. Because like you said, I've done the Thunder Punch matches go 10 minutes or so,
If that, yeah, if that.
depending on 5, 10, 8, 10 minutes. So and I'm like, okay, most people are going to notice me for doing that because I'm a big man. That's normally how long I can go for. But for me to go in at 18, 20 minutes or so and go against the best that the company has and prove that I can hold my own against the world champion, that proves to me myself that I am okay with doing this. I can stand up to these people and go these long matches or so and not worry about me making the mistakes or having having to help myself along, psyching myself up, basically.
Let me ask you a question. You were in the ring with Mr. Judgment. You certainly were toe to toe with him. You were neck and neck with him. And I have to ask you, obviously, the burning question that certainly the DBW universe and those that are fans of Sportswire Radio want to know. So, what was it like going toe to toe with Mr. Judgment?
Honestly, you feel a presence with him in the ring. It's a weird presence being in the ring with Judgment. For myself, being in that main event spot, it's a presence that you're not used to. It's a presence to where you can. It's almost like being in the ring with the Undertaker.
Or
It's
a fan
weird.
of both.
Yeah, but like it almost feels like how Undertaker has that
Or a
presence
mystique.
about
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
the mystique about him. It almost feels the same way with Judgment. And some people can work through that mystique, and some people get intimidated by it. I, for one, was not intimidated by it. I kind of worked my way through it, and then and for all the DBW universe, you saw what happened at the end there.
Yeah, I felt like in watching the match, I think I had made the comparison prior to the match that you had the opportunity to kind of pull a Goldberg against a Hollywood Hulk Hogan in the Georgia Dome, and it looked like you were
Yeah.
this close to doing that. But yeah, I think in watching the match, I mean, tell me your thoughts. That's why I asked you this question. I didn't feel that you were nervous in the ring because I felt that it was a 50-50 match. I mean, I got to be honest. A lot of people have been in the ring with Judgment this season, and even some of them come on the show on Sportswire, and his own son included. And I don't know if those matches were really 50-50 matches. I really felt that there was even times, and you know it firsthand because you were wrestling him, that Judgment was almost kind of like perplexed. Judgment was almost kind of like, well, what does it take for me to put this guy down? I don't think that Judgment this season, maybe since Scorpion the Assassin, and I would even say you might trump Scorpion the Assassin because of just where you are age-wise in your career at this moment. That's not a knock on Scorpion, but I don't think that Judgment faced a guy with your size and kind of your strength this season, and maybe that's kind of what phased him a little bit. Do you feel the same way?
I think it definitely showed at the beginning there, where I was just taking blow after blow after
You did,
blow
and
after
and there
blow,
was
and
a couple times, his mannerisms. Watching the match live, and I rewatched the match before we went on the air because I always like to do that to kind of get like a almost like a fresh feeling. And he was kind of like almost like looking like this, like what does he have to do to put you away? Almost like he
yeah,
expected it to be a short match, a
and
short night to work. Go ahead.
as soon as like you see that light bulb go off, punch after punch after punch after punch, and you just see me just shake this all off. Like, and you said it. What did Judgment have to do to beat me at this point? It took him everything in his arsenal to beat me. I took a piece of Judgment out of that ring with me that night. I took a piece of the Prophet, the final boss, with me back to Tex Country. Judgment's not going to look the same going into 2024 now.
Interesting. And I will get to comments very shortly. We are here, first of all, with Big Tex. He is the big man of DBW. We are in Tex Country. His soul is ours on Sportswire. But if you want to follow him on Instagram and YouTube, Stone Cold 4215, Twitter, Wildman Colt, and also TikTok, Wrestling Fan 1996. I am your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters here on Sportswire Radio. The Reverend Tom Bryce. Okay, there was a spot in the match where I thought this was the moment that you were a contender and you arrived. I was talking to you about this off the air. Your eyes kind of lit up. So let me ask it for the audience. There was a spot in the match. It was like a shoulder tackle / spear. When you hit that and connected, that was where, like, you know what? I knew you. I watched you. I didn't know how serious I was taking you into that match. But when you hit that move on Judgment, I was like, you know what? Okay, this guy, this is a match. Don't disturb me. Don't bother me. This guy can go and he can give him a run for his money. Walk me through that moment and how did you feel? Because when you hit that move, I felt like, okay, now we got a race.
Okay, okay, going into that match, I had no plans of hitting that.
Really?
I had I had no plans of hitting that. That was all last minute while we're going over the match. Because we had to think of something to kind of like bring me back into that spot where I'm basically dominating, where I'm coming back and dominating a little bit. So we thought of, okay, what if I duck the clothesline and then just come up with either like a shoulder tackle, or I suggested the spear. And it's funny that you mentioned, because we were talking before the match aired, and you, like you said, the Goldberg in the Georgia Dome.
You lit up, and we spoke. Actually, this is real talk for a second. We spoke off the air. I think we spoke on Facebook Messenger, and you were like, "This
Yes.
was you." You were like, you were getting motivated. You were getting all like worked up. You were like, "Oh, I don't know if I inspired you or not. I don't know if I motivated you or not
So
on fire, but that certainly struck a nerve there because we spoke about this quite a bit before the match itself."
yes, and I think it definitely kind of motivated me a little bit. Like, okay, he wants the Goldberg and Georgia Dome moment. I'm gonna give it to him, and that's where the spear kind of came into play. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go all out with this. And I hit it, and I heard the fans go nuts. I heard that place, like, it's loud whenever I come out, but hitting that spear, that place lit up.
Yes, the crowd was definitely into that. There was no question that crowd, there was and it was a lively crowd to begin with there, but the
Hmm.
universe certainly spoke to that. Let me ask you a follow-up, and I promise I'm going to get to comments in a second, but this is kind of a silly question, but it kind of ties in. Did you watch that match beforehand, Goldberg and Hogan and the Georgian? Because if you remember that match, I think that you were actually less nervous than Goldberg was at the moment, because Goldberg, if you remember that night, actually started the show wrestling Scott Hall. So he had already gone out there, he had already wrestled. And then by that
Yeah.
time, if you remember that match, Hogan he basically kind of was almost trying to fatigue Goldberg. He was trying to basically tire him out. But in that match,
Hmm.
it didn't seem like Judgment was trying that same tactic. It was almost like you were in there. You were in there, and you had that moment. You actually had the Goldberg moment in your hand, Big Tex. I mean, did you feel like in some ways, or not? If you didn't, great. But if did you wound up watching that match between Goldberg and Hogan in the Georgia Dome, and maybe that inspired you at all?
So for me, I actually didn't. Um, I didn't watch that match at all. Um, it's just something that I've kept in the back of my mind. Like, this is an iconic moment. I want to eventually try and do something from it. And like, there's certain matches that I had that I keep in the back of my mind. Hogan and Goldberg in the Georgia Dome is one of them. Cena, Big Show, and Edge at WrestleMania 35 is another one that I keep in the back of my mind. Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, like the 15-second match.
Yep.
Like, there's certain ones that I keep in the back of my mind that I know I can kind of go back to if I need to. But a lot of and you were talking about the nerves, about me not being nervous. The camera doesn't show it, but I'm literally head down in the corner talking to myself before
Really?
the match.
Really?
Um,
I didn't.
yeah,
I don't think I saw that, and I watched the match, I think,
no,
3 times. I don't think I saw that, to tell you the truth.
no, the camera actually doesn't catch me doing that. Because when the camera comes around for Judgment's entrance, I'm up, standing there looking, eyeing Judgment the entire time.
Was it different seeing his entrance up close than when maybe you're watching it in the back?
Not really. It
No.
if it kind of filled me with a little bit more inspiration to try and dethrone him at that point.
Well,
It
you
was
were
like,
talking to him. You definitely were like, you weren't backing down from him. You were basically like saying, like, you weren't afraid of him. You were basically like, you were not
no,
being pushed around in that match. I mean, this was like a Donnybrook.
no, no. And I even said it during Thursday Night Thunder Punch. You are walking into my, you were walking into my territory.
Yeah, no, the
You
way
were
it ended, yeah, you went right to him. Some guys that we've had on here, and who've wrestled them, and it was kind of like they were trying to convince me to believe in them to win. You were like really like, part of me's thinking like this guy who's come out of nowhere, who's had a handful of matches in his career, who's kind of come out of nowhere. Maybe this guy is going to pull off the Goldberg, because Goldberg basically was in the ring up at that particular moment. He was the world heavyweight champion, and his career, frankly, started 10 months prior. And you had been in the ring, what, for 8 months, 9 months? And it was basically, to me, it was almost like the same story. So in a way, you didn't have to
yeah,
convince me to believe in you. I think that you legitimately had a real shot in this match. I mean, that's what the way I saw the match, and I think that's how it went down.
and and that's what I wanted people to really get behind me, was like, okay, he's going into this match as a possible big threat to Judgment. He is on this run to where he could be champion. And now he's going into this biggest match of basically his career right now, and could dethrone the final boss of DBW, the champion, the world champion himself.
Yeah, and I would say it again, and I've had on a lot of wrestlers here on Sportswire throughout this year, all over the world, and I'll continue to say it, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, figuratively and literally. I think Judgment was the most dominant heavyweight champion that I had on this year of anybody. I had on Vito Fratelli, who was in the PWI 500. I had RP Davis, who was quote unquote the Grand Slam UK champion. I had Bentley on, who won 2 world heavyweight titles this year. I mean, I can go up and down the list of people. I had Craven Rage, who was quote unquote champion for 500 days. I had Omen Black. I had all these different people that came on, and I'm not here to disrespect those names. I'm very honored they came on to Sportswire in these particular cases. I have Prince Dagon coming on the 18th of January, who certainly could give Mr. Judgment a run for his money. But the point is, I think Judgment, of all the champions that we had on this platform the entire year, I think he was the most dominant for the company he represents. And you were right there with him.
Oh, no doubt. Look at what Judgment has done within the past year AEW alone.
Yeah, I think that, again, Costelli, you look at, you're certainly Buddy Corey Graves. I mean, his own son. I mean, we can go up Scorpion the Assassin.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go up and down the list of the DBW roster, and he disposed them all.
He got it from Scorpion in the submission match. Went on to face Corey.
Yes.
And then his own son.
Yep.
Then Brandon.
Yep.
And then me.
Yep. No. Totally the run that he's had.
And not to toot my own horn here, I feel like I'm the one that gave him the biggest challenge this year.
You know what? I mean, I obviously had Corey on. I had Brandon on a few times. I've had the Blaze Ace Christian on a few times. And watching those matches in real time, yeah, I would say, you know what? What I said in the very beginning rings true is that you remember, you were the big man. You were the big man. Those, again, respect all of them in the ring, but they didn't have something that you had, was the size and the strength, and you looked him in the eye and you weren't afraid of him. I think that I think Brandon had his own things going on with that. The Blaze, that's a whole deep dive in father-son. You had Corey, who, I've spoke about here in different ways, but you, since Scorpion, you were the guy that was like, you know what? And you just made one mistake. I'm going to get to that, but I got a lot of comments here, and I'd like to say hello to people because I haven't got a chance to do that, and I want to make sure people get a chance to say hello. Jacob Cassidy is here. What's up, Big Tex, the prodigal son? I want to say hello to Julie, Jules NYC. How you doing, Julie? Hope you're doing well, and certainly thank you for tuning in there. Beautiful. Good evening, Tom and Tex. Always loving your intros. I appreciate that very much. The big man of chaos, Big Tex, still didn't answer us about that haircut. We'll see if he says anything about that in a second. I don't care what Robert Pierce has to say. I want to hear what he says about that haircut first. You will get judgment next time, Tex. You proved yourself as the true big man of DBW. Now you're the big man in chaos. Yes, we'll definitely come back to that.
Yeah.
Listen, bub, we're still brothers through and through. Sorry about not telling you. Cassidy or Graves or even EJ Rodriguez, no one knew. This is about the haircut. Confirmed. So,
yeah.
Well, he definitely pulled off an interesting moment, I suppose.
He pulled the biggest swerve out of all of us, so.
He definitely did. Hello, gentlemen, to Skulls the Soul Hunter. Skulls is from California. Skulls, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're recovering well from your injury in your car accident. And he says that you reminded him of a honey bun. Now, have you ever heard this before?
No.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but I guess I should ask, do you like honey buns?
I'm a nice honey bun guy. I don't like normal honey buns.
Okay, I don't eat honey buns, but if it floats your boat, you're the big man of DBW, and I'm not going to challenge you on that.
It's a very rare occasion that I eat iced honey buns, but it's something I'll eat every once in a while if I'm hungry.
I think that, was it Entenmann's that used to have the iced honey buns? That used to be kind of good. And if you had Entenmann's where you are, Entenmann's cakes.
Yes. I love Entenmann's, actually.
Entenmann's used to make that stuff. Entenmann's was always good for it was the cinnamon rolls, it was the cheese danishes, the iced honey buns, but I haven't had any of that stuff in ages, so I don't know. But maybe Skulls, eat it for us and tell us what you think. But let me get to somebody that actually does want to say something to you, and you've addressed him quite a bit on this platform. And his name is the global champion. I want to remind you, by the way, I happen to like this guy. I want to say I like this guy. In fact, I like him because he promoted Sportswire on DBW. He actually, from his mouth, he actually mentioned Sportswire. And you know what? It is the book of Cyrus on Sportswire anytime. In fact, it's such a good book that I love reading. I'm inducting him into my Hall of Fame 3 weeks from Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. He is our reigning defending global champion. He is on the Mount Rushmore of DBW. It is the It Factor, Cyrus. I love this man, by the way. This man is awesome. He is definitely one of the GOATs in DBW history. The fans will get you nowhere. Once you understand that, you will understand your true potential in this business. Do you agree? Disagree? And what do you want to say to the future Hall of Famer who takes his place in history, January 29th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time?
Cyrus, let's not forget,
Mm-hmm.
you may be on the Mount Rushmore DBW, but that number one contenders rumble, I had your number. That global title comes home with me. Jackson Sabre, step in line, because I am the first one to get a shot at that global title.
He's here, Jackson Sabre, by the way. He's here. I'm going to get to him now. It's starting to get interesting here real quick. But, I want to ask you about that, though, because, Jackson Sabre comes in and he said that he's owed one from Cyrus. And he basically, in his words, say that he basically helped him win the global title so he can wrest it from his hands. I mean, I'm sure you heard by now what Jackson Sabre said on his return to Sportswire Radio Monday night as the first person that came on this platform in 2024. And, what did you think about that? And Jackson Sabre is also a guy who had an impressive run of 2023 to close things out here in DBW. And he's certainly making his case heard loud and clear. And, what do you say to all that?
Basically, step in line, Sabre, because yes, you may be owed something from Cyrus, but you're not the one that got. You're not the one that eliminated him. You're not the one that actually put the work in to eliminate him to get yourself an actual shot at that title. I have a legit reason to go after that title. You don't.
So you don't count, though, the fact that Jackson Sabre holds a victory over the Blaze Ace Christian? You don't count that at all?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Besides that, what else has Jackson Sabre actually done in 2023?
In DBW? Well, he actually helped the It Factor Cyrus retain the global title.
Okay. Other than that, what else has that man done? He's been on the losing end of a lot more matches than I have. Yes, I teamed up with Chaos and I lost to High Power. However, it took 6 super kicks to keep me down after a while, and a third step to oblivion from Taft himself.
Well, you certainly did a number on Taft about 2 months ago. I mean, I'll say that much. You did a number on him, conversely, Mr. T3.
And it all cultivated to that Rumble. Just remember, Sabre, I didn't get eliminated. You did. I'm the one that faced Judgment in the main event. You fought for the Anarchy title and lost to Azrael.
But could you make the case, though, that there was several opponents in that match and his chances of winning were basically, 20%?
Yes, but he is also a big man like myself. So is Azrael. It could have been down to those two. Those two could have fought it out. Just saying.
But he's also made he's made his presence felt in ways that, I give him credit for in some ways. You know what? He's done, but you say that he should get out of the way and that you are demanding and deserve that shot against Cyrus. So, but why not go after Judgment again?
Because I know there's more. I have a feeling that something is going to happen here very soon, and you kind of got a glimpse of that at Mary Mayhem.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Hold on to that thought for a second, because I think I know where you're going with that, hold on, hold that thought. Not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. What's up, Tex? What's up, Tom? How you doing, Steve? Always nice to see
Hi,
you,
Gainer.
Steve. How you doing, Steve? Good to be with you, my friend. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, as always, please make sure you continue to support us here. Closing on 500 subscribers. I'm almost there. So definitely tell your friends, tell your family, yell from the rooftops. I used to work for a politician and he used to always say, you got to tell everybody, you got to yell from the rooftops, you got to go up from the buildings and tell everybody. So if you're out there, go tell everybody to subscribe to Sportswire Radio, but also tell everybody to subscribe to DBW on Facebook at Dominating Backyard Wrestling, YouTube Dominating Breakout Wrestling, Twitter DBW Wrestling. And get this, by the way, you're going to like this because I actually, after we went off the air with Jackson Sabre, I bought a DBW shirt. So you need to buy one also. Bonfire.com /store /dominant -breakout -wrestling. Go out and buy a DBW shirt. I can't wait to wear my DBW shirt when I induct Cyrus into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I can't wait the next time I have more DBW coverage as soon as it ships. Hopefully this winter storm ends. I can get my DBW shirt. And anytime we have DBW shows on Sportswire, I can wear, instead of a John Wick shirt, I can wear a DBW shirt. So, and maybe I'll even get a Big Tech shirt one day. Maybe I'll even get a Mr. Judgment shirt or a Cyrus shirt one day. The point is, go to the bonfire.com store, Dominant Breakout Wrestling. Go out and support this great company. They've always supported us. It has been awesome honor the last 6 months to cover this company, and I can't wait. Where is my life the last few months without DBW? I don't know where it would be, but thankfully we have that. Let me get to more comments here. It was a definitely nice spiel. I want to say hello to Mr. Dirty Donnie and the IMF. Obviously, the guys have a big show coming up, New Year's Vengeance. We're going to be covering it this week on Sportswire, so stay tuned for that. It was definitely a nice spear, drove his ass into the mat. Well, yeah, kind of did. Mr. Jackson Sabre, which I'm going to get to again. Oh, great, the snooze comments of the interview. Also, let me say hello before I come back to him. I want to say hello to the Atomic freaking Titan, our hardcore king. I was watching some of TBW's season finale before we went on the air. We will definitely have the Atomic freaking Titan on this week on Sportswire Radio. It's a possibility if Mr. Titan has time, it might even be Tuesday night. So stay tuned for that. It might actually be Tuesday night now. So Atomic Titan.
Hold on.
Yep. Yes,
Hold on, Tom. Atomic. It's not your show. First of all, it's Elman Black's show.
Did I just
Second of all,
did I just hear that you came on and confronted the Atomic freaking Titan like that? I mean, this is the only Grand Slam champion in the history of TBW. I know it's Big Tex Country and DBW, but are you sure you want to do that? Just now, that's a real mic drop. Forget about me getting in trouble with British wrestlers. You basically just called out the Atomic freaking Titan right on his head.
Oh, yeah. This man's been running his mouth for 2 months on this show. Someone has to put him in his place. If I ever get out there, if I ever get down to Tennessee, Titan, watch out.
Ooh. So you
Because I may just break your body in half.
Oh, you just said if you get out to Tennessee. Interesting. So you know what's going on there in Tennessee pretty well, it seems like.
I watch a little bit.
And I know that they watch you. I know for a fact on high authority that they watch you and that they know who you are. I'm just saying. Let me say hello to our very good friends over in VTW, Big Tex, and you know, you disrespected Atomic, and he actually said hello to you, but he also
right.
not so fast. We will see about that, Big Tex. Now, I take that hello back. Bow down and respect me now. I mean, he's the only Grand Slam winner in TBW history.
First of all, you're going to have to make me bow down to you. Because unless you earn my respect, you don't get it. Judgment has my respect for what he did to me. I give Judgment respect for what he did. For being able to slam me for what he did.
But you don't respect a man that's he's at the top of his company, and a man that's a champion and a Grand Slam champion, the only one in the prestigious TBW, so you don't respect him.
No, because he's a pipsqueak.
So you don't like the haircut. You don't like the trench coat. You don't like the glasses. You don't like how Commissioner Beast has been disrespecting him, some would say. You don't like that very much.
Commissioner Beast, I respect. The man's been doing a hell of a job.
You look a little bit like Commissioner Beast in some way. He's a tad taller than you, though. I don't know if are you guys cousins by any chance?
I don't think so. I saw the resemblance though. I'm like, wait.
I'm not the only one. Okay, I'm crazy on a lot of things, but I'm glad that that's not the case. And I do want to say hello to our friends in VTW once again. And what an honor it was to a man I'm going to get to very shortly, who's their company's champion, Mr. Aaron Jones, who's certainly the real boss man, the one-man revolution. Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Hope you see more of the Texan in 2024. I'm going to get to Jackson Sabre in a second, but I want to ask you something. Speaking of VTW and DBW, you said something about the end of Merry Mayhem, right? And
yes,
there was something that happened after the Judgment Slam heard round the world. In Aaron Jones, who I think wasn't trying to say he was the referee or trying to acknowledge it was, but then it was kind of mentioned after the match that he was. I saw a resemblance. At least I thought I did. But
there was a resemblance. I'm not sure if that was his brother or cousin, whatever.
I was trying to really not say anything about it, but apparently when somebody shouted out in the crowd, I think Mr. Jones was kind of pretty much acknowledged, okay, that's him. And he kind of got in the face of Mr. Judgment and said, don't make that mistake. Don't do it. And even, I think you said, remember, this match wasn't even going to start originally. This match was never going to happen. You were going to lose this match by forfeit because people are just so afraid to referee Judgment's matches. But apparently Mr. Jones, nobody crosses Aaron Jones. Obviously, Aaron Jones is a well-established pro wrestler. He's been in there with Hall of Famers, legends, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer on Sportzwire Radio when he comes back next month. But the facts are is that, Judgment, he put his hands on Aaron Jones, and he took that belt of his and hit it right across that face. And I had Aaron Jones on the show Thursday, and Aaron Jones is a guy that, if I saw him in a bar, I would definitely not want to get in his face either. And something tells me that you might have came up, real damn close against Judgment, but Aaron Jones, he's the Hub City champion. He's also the VTW world champion, and you know what? He's going to definitely go mano a mano, toe-to-toe, eye-to-eye with Judgment if that's something he wants. And I think a lot of people might actually put their money on him. What do you think about what happened at the end of Merry Mayhem, sir?
I kind of briefly saw what happened. Once I saw the actual video of what happened, I was like, this man, Judgment, just attacks Aaron Jones for no reason. All because he was eyeing him down, knowing that Aaron Jones can possibly beat him for that title. They have, like Aaron Jones said in your interview, they have met in the past.
Yep. A long time ago, though. It's a different time.
A long time. That was a long time ago. I think Aaron Jones has gotten better. I know Judgment has gotten better.
Absolutely.
What happens now when those two collide? It's going to be Godzilla meets Kong when those two collide.
Yeah, I think that would certainly be, I said Brock and Bobby on the air, Gunther and Brock. I would say it's almost like equal.
You're looking at two titans going at each other. You're looking at the current VTW champion, longest reigning Texas heavyweight champion, and the current Hub City champion.
I look at it, to me, this would be like if you saw in a movie, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone in their prime. Terminator versus Rambo. John Wick versus Robert McCall. Equalizer and John Wick. As I said in my show Thursday, which you listened to, it would be the equivalent of Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. It would be the equivalent of Gunther and Brock Lesnar. It would be Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar back 20 years ago. There's a number of basically comparisons that you can make. But right now in 2024, if we saw the possibility of Aaron Jones and Mr. Judgment, wherever that might be, I don't know what company, I don't even know. You know what? I'll even go further and say this. As the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce, I would say maybe you should do it like the Super Bowl, have it at a neutral site. A neutral site. Hear me out. A neutral site between Judgment and Jones, because they're world champions of two of the biggest companies. They've obviously, who knows, the ring might not even be able to stand after these guys would square off in DBW or VTW. So why not make this the biggest match of the year in 2024? These guys are pro wrestlers. So at the end of the day, maybe we should have this match in a neutral zone environment so that way nobody can have an advantage or a disadvantage. And let's see who the best man wins. What do you say?
I'd say make it, like you said, make it Super Bowl. Neutral zone, VTW champion versus DBW champion. Make it even better, winner takes all.
Now, if you could, there's a championship that somebody close to Judgment actually holds in VTW. So technically, there's 4 championships there. Although I know our friend, well, maybe not your friend, but Chase Wakefield is. Well, Aaron Jones is supposed best friend, but he actually holds or has possession of the VTW YouTube championship. So I'm sure when somebody close to Mr. Judgment returns to VTW, he may put Mr. Wakefield in a box, similar to what Mr. Jones has said about different things. So that might be a part of things. But I know one thing, in 2024, somebody has to make that match happen between the real boss man, the one-man revolution, and the final boss of DBW. Think about it. The real boss man and the final boss? Sounds like a lot of bosses there. This could actually be the winner. It could actually be sole possession of the boss. Who has the name of the boss? The winner could have the sole possession of being the boss.
There you go.
You can't argue it because these two guys are in the primes of their career and they are the most dominant bosses around in the world. So I don't know if it'll happen. Judgment's going to get his stake here on Sportswire very soon. He's going to talk about this, I'm sure, and some. But let me get to some more comments because a lot of people want to say something. Let me come back to Jackson Sabre because he has a few things he wants to say, and I want him to tell it to you. Listen, Tex, you want to talk about losses, yet I see the lack of a championship on you as well. Cyrus is my prey, but I don't care if management throws you in too. Results will be the same either way. Me holding that global title with you and Cyrus licking your wounds in the back, and I'll be more than happy to prove it. I actually respect you, so I'll humor you. What do you say to all that?
In the back, licking my wounds while you pray.
Yes.
Just remember, I have a 6-shooter. The 6-shooter is always loaded with 6 bullets. I have plenty of bullets for both you and Cyrus combined. I have no problem taking the both of you out. Just remember one thing, Sabre. I may look like a teddy bear, but I hit like a freight train. And when I hit, I don't miss.
Ooh, he doesn't miss. That wasn't a snooze comment. I mean, you talked about 6 shooters. You talked about not missing. You talked about freight trains. I mean, that sounds like that's going to hurt. It's going to be pretty painful there.
Yes.
And
I've lifted up people bigger than Sabre.
Well,
I have no problem. I have no problem lifting people up. It's the ending that's going to hurt.
So a Salisbury psychopath doesn't scare you at all?
No. Because what's a psychopath without any artillery?
So you're basically gonna chop him up like a Salisbury steak, then? No.
What's a psychopath without any weapons?
I would say a loser.
A man, just a normal man.
A coward. A coward.
Maybe.
But I was
We'll
listen.
find out in the future.
I would love to find. I would hope we find out in DBW if that was possible. I would hope that management might actually say, you know what, that's a good idea. But what that's up for management to decide. That's all questions that management decides. And you know what? Jackson Sabre seems to agree. Let's settle it once and for all who the top big man is.
I'm down. If management wants to book it, I'd be happy to settle it once and for all.
Hmm. You know what? That's certainly a question that management has to decide what they want to do. How do they want to go about the start of the season? I want to say hello, obviously, to our buddy Ron Franklin, also from Pennsylvania. How you doing, Ron? Hope you're doing well. Dirty Donnie wants to say glasses and all he looks like is a spy. That's was that for the Atomic Titan? That was for Atomic Titan. Thank you for that. And he says,
Yes.
of course, name calling like usual. Big Tex, I'll see you soon. I could take you to the promised land, but I mean, let me ask you to a follow. But that is sort of detour back to DBW. I mean, you didn't win the big one. You're the big man of
No.
DBW. So I mean, what? How do you get to where you want to go, though? I mean, Corey Graves. I know we asked about that. I asked Corey about his advice he gave to you. He certainly consoled you after the match. You've said you're here to stay. You said you've proved it. You want to go for gold, and whatever it is, it's not just the world title. Any gold you want. But I mean, like,
Hmm.
how do you then go to the promised land? You've got now maybe 2.5 months minimum to kind of lick your wounds here in DBW. I mean, how do you get to the promised land?
Well, let's see. I have Cyrus I could go after, and I have a legit reason to go after Cyrus. I could I could help out my brother, Zach Depew, and go after Jackson Snow and the World Extreme title.
Good point. Good point.
I could go after Asriel and the
Ooh,
Anarchy title, make
yeah.
another big man in the ring. Or, who knows? Maybe I take a step back. Maybe I help Chaos first.
I was good at, that was interesting. You read my mind because I was thinking about those tag team championships. That was a,
Maybe I help Chaos first. Maybe it's not me as the tag team champions. Maybe I help out Pearson and Cassidy get those tag team titles off of the Heretics first.
that's an interesting point because the Heretics we know have been pretty unstoppable since they took those tag team titles away from Ego. And certainly the Stompers have made their case. The Brooklyn Prodigies have made their case. But with you and the Chaos Conspiracy, I mean, maybe that gets them over the hurdle and finally as contenders.
And we help out each other. Who knows what happens? One person wins gold eventually, and it starts to escalate.
What is the future of Chaos Conspiracy?
Future is going to look bright. It's going to be bright. We only just getting started in Chaos. Once DPW starts back up, Chaos will reign supreme.
Interesting. Somebody here says, "Don't." Oh, I know what this is. I'm going to say hello to you, definitely. I think I owe you an appearance on Sportswire soon. Thank you for that. Don't pay attention to the Atomic Weasel. He just bites way more than he can chew. Well, I still say he's here in a few days. He'll certainly tell us why that's not the case. But let me come back to Jackson Sabre. Looks like this steer might actually have some horns on him. This victory is going to be all the more sweeter. This is going to be fun. But Texas lost at the Alamo. You will lose against me, Tex. Save your ammo and save the embarrassment of missing when it counts, like you've been known to do recently. What do you say to that?
Yes, this bull has some horns, and they are sharp horns. Fear me when I hit that spear. That spear is going to be the ending to that match.
You ever hear the expression "fear of the unknown"?
I don't fear the unknown.
I
I
was
embrace the unknown.
I was asking if he may know what that means. What do you say to that?
He better. He better. Because I embraced the unknown. I went into a match with Judgment not knowing what I was going to do, not knowing how I was going to do in that match, and I took the bull by the horns, ran with it, and almost came out on top.
I want to, yeah, go ahead. Finish. Now, I want to ask you a question, but finish what you were going to say because I want to ask you about that particularly. Go right ahead.
I have no problem taking out Saber, and if I take out Saber, that leaves me a direct path to that global title.
Okay, walk me through that moment when you made the one mistake. Right now, you could be here as the DBW champion of the world, but you made one mistake right before the moment with that Judgment Slam heard around the world. The quote that I've coined here on Sports was the Judgment Slam heard around the world, and I think that the DBW universe is still yelling about it. But you're about to choke slam him. You grab him by the neck and you say, "Your soul is mine." And then he finds a way and reverses that. And boom, tosses you in that slam like a sack of potatoes. 1, 2, 3. How much have you thought about that moment where you kind of took the foot off the gas there?
I went overboard when I tried to go for it. I was going to try and end it with his own move, the Hand of God. I was going to try and end it fully with his own move. However, I should have been more aware to myself. But when you have the crowd behind you telling you to finish it, you have him on the ropes. Your mind just goes completely blank. You do the first thing that comes to your mind. And that, to me, was go for the Hand of God. I hit this, you become world champion. That is the one mistake I made. Had I not gone for it, I would be sitting here today as the world
I would be
champion of
talking to you
DBW.
right now. You'd have the DBW world title next to you. It'd be a different world. So I have to ask you, I mean, how many times or how often have you thought about that?
I go back and rewatch that multiple times.
Well,
And
it's all over YouTube. The reel of him doing the Judgment Slam on you. It's been kind of made
it's
by management, kind of like a little it's been made a reel. I mean, I hate to tell you that. I'm sure you know that by now.
yeah, I have. It it pains me to know that I was that close to winning, and that one mistake is what cost me the world title. Do I wish I went for something different? Of course I do. But we can't look in the past. We have to look forward to the future.
Was that a rookie mistake?
Yes, definitely. That is, I will definitely say that is not only a rookie mistake, that is a mistake of me being in the main event for the first time.
We were talking about this off the air. I don't think you wrestled in a singles match for a grand total of 20 minutes. I mean, you literally went 20 minutes with this guy, just about, Mr. Judgment. And I don't think, from what I've seen, leave aside tag match in the Rumble, you had been in a singles match for a total of 20 minutes. So
No.
that has to say or stand for something that, you know what, you punched with this guy and he hit you with some impressive arsenal. I mean, there was remember that move he did? It was like that, like almost like that scissors kick. Remember that move in the
Yes,
match? I mean, like,
the scissors leg drop that
yep,
well, I went for what everyone knows me for, which is the big splash,
yes.
and missed it, and I didn't know what was happening until I felt that leg hit me in the back of the head. Until I felt that leg hit me in the back of the head, and I'm like, okay, that hurt. And now I'm in a different world now. I'm in a different world than what I am used to at this point. And you heard the commentary. He knows he has been scouting me for months. He
Well, that's
knew
what
what
I'm
I was
saying.
coming with.
And he's ranked, by the way. He's ranked at near the top of the list in Kings and Queens magazine, which assembles all of the heavyweight, all of the wrestlers around the world in two categories. He's at the top of both divisions. So Judgment is not just the DBW guy. He's a top ranked guy throughout altogether. So it's not like you're wrestling some guy like, Craven Rage. Yeah, 500 days. Yeah, no. You were against a guy that was ranked basically around the United States. So, of course, he was
Yes.
going to scout you. Do you feel like, let's say, if this match takes place at the end of this year, let's say it did again, let's say you get a rematch. I don't know when. I don't know what the future is. I don't know what tomorrow looks like in the wrestling world. But let's say you get another crack. Let's say we have a Merry Mayhem main event show to end in the end of 2024. If you get another crack at him, do you feel then that what you've learned and what you know now, that you would be able to beat him even if it's not for the world title?
That's a hard question
I know.
because
That's a very hard question because he's Mr. Judgment. I understand that.
he is. If because I want to say yes, but my mind is telling me no. Also, it's that weird feeling that yes, you know you can beat him. However, right now, even without the title on the line, he is at the top of his game. And even if bringing up moves that no one has seen yet from me could possibly pull out a victory, would it be enough to defeat him?
Let me ask you a question. I know you can't go through somebody's mind, but we're here again with Big Tex, the big man of DBW. We are in Tex country right now. You can check him out on Instagram and YouTube at Stone Cold 4215, Twitter at Wildman Colt, and TikTok Wrestling Fan 1996. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, here on Sportzwire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the host of the Sports Report. And I'll be here tomorrow night live, 7 o'clock Eastern time, to induct as the 10th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, the 2023 XCW Money in the Bank winner, Jackson Law. So stay tuned for that. It'll be 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So if you're stuck in a snowstorm, if you're stuck, it's cold where you are, and it's rainy, drizzly, depressed, dark, and dreary from your favorite NFL team being eliminated from the playoffs, or if your NFL team is going on to the postseason, 7 o'clock, hang out with us. Jackson Law takes his place in history on Sports by Radio. Let me ask you, though, a question toward the end of the show here. Do you think, and it's, I know, hard to get in the mind of Judgment, but do you think Judgment respects you now?
I
know it's a tough question. It's a tough question.
I don't know.
You said you respected him. You said you respected him. I was curious.
I do respect him. I just think maybe there might be a change in Judgment now, knowing that I did put him to his absolute limit. And like I said earlier, I took a piece of Judgment with me after that match. I think coming up in 2024, you're going to see a different Judgment. I think he realized that there is some tough competition coming his way now for that world title. Not just the originals from DBW's, not just the originals from DBW, but this new breed of stars that have been brought into DBW. The young talent that's coming in. Me, Pearson, Sabre, Cassidy, DJW, Van Hansen, and a lot of these other guys.
Arias, or I don't know how to say his name.
Antonio and Stompers, and even the Prodigies, the Brooklyn Prodigies. Like, you have these guys that have been brought in now, and now you got to step up your game.
Well, you forgot to mention one name, by the way, and that one name, who certainly stands toe to toe with him, is a guy that was in DBW once upon a time, is back, and he's a pro wrestler. That's Aaron Jones. Okay, Aaron
Aaron
Jones.
Jones.
Listen, I said it again. When you put Aaron Jones and Mr. Judgment in the ring, and I said this last time on Sportswire when I was with Mr. Jones himself, take everybody, clear him out of the way, like the schoolyard. Like when we were growing up, we were fighting in the schoolyard. If you did that, you probably do. You're a big man. But obviously, what you do, get everybody out and just let those guys fight it out until the best man wins. Simple as that. I got
Yes.
you, all the young talent. I got all these new kids on the block. I got them, different people, and we love having them on. And shout out to DJW. He is here live. We're going to get him on Sportswire eventually. I know it's probably not going to be tonight, but it's going to definitely be at some point in the next week. But I'm going to get
Mm-hmm.
his side of the story because he came up a lot earlier in with the infamous Montana because he's a part of EBW Pro and Forever EBW. And I want to get to DJW's side of the story here very shortly soon. But the facts are Aaron Jones, Mr. Judgment. As you saw my pen just go across the other side of my room. That's the match. That's it. That's the match.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. That's the one match that I think that the people want to see. Because when we saw it the first time, we saw it the second time, it ain't going to be like those prior times. And it's one Judgment, one Jones. This is the rubber match. That's it. And now the rubber match is when both of them are in the primes of their career and they're both holding technically 2 championships. All I got to say.
Yes.
All I got to say. Speaking of guys, though, that certainly could give Mr. Judgment a run for their money because he disposed of Jack Delta, who's coming on the show Monday night. He disposed of him. He's the ROEW Backyard World Heavyweight Champion. He is the good guy, CJ Black. He says hello to the both of us, and you got to give him a big shout out because he wrestled, by the way, real talk for a second. This guy and Jack Delta put on a match. I want everybody to go watch on YouTube at ROEW
Yes.
Backyard Wrestling. This match was better than, I would say, half the pro wrestlers that have come on Sportswire Radio in the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you
Yes.
straight up, point blank, these guys put on a match. In fact, it was so good of a match. I'm going to shoot again. It was so good of a match. I actually sent the match out to a couple of people that I know who are pro wrestlers, and they watched the match, and they actually told me, why aren't these guys professional wrestlers? And I said, well, you'd have to ask them that question. No, I'll put my hand on the Bible for that. That's how good of a match it was. It was the first match of 2024, and it's probably going to wind up being the best match of 2024. And this guy,
Oh, definitely.
he won, and he certainly proved it, and he showed why he's the ROEW Backyard Wrestling Champion, and people need to go watch that match. And in fact, they need to watch it over and over again because, again, pro wrestlers could not have done as good a job as what those guys did in the ring in terms of the moves, in terms of the technical skills. Clearly, that's a match. I mean, I've seen pro guys come on here and these guys, though, definitely not that. Let me get
Definitely.
to Mr. DJW. We love you. Yes, you did hurt Judgment, and he says let it be a lumberjack match with Aaron Jones and Judgment. That would be interesting. I don't think it should be a
That would
lumberjack.
be no, because here's the problem. We wouldn't attack Aaron Jones.
Right. Okay, but I think that it should just be let those two guys fight. I understand the point of a lumberjack match. Because,
I say do basically camera, empty arena, let those two fight. No commentary, nothing. Just let them.
What I said, and I'll continue to hold to it, it should be in a neutral site environment, no outside interference. Don't give anybody that home ring advantage, whatever you want to call it at this point, and may the best man win. Let me get to a couple comments from Jackson Sabre before I ask you some things. First of all, from Jacob Cassidy, the prodigal son, by the end of the year, Chaos Conspiracy, we will all have gold. We'll see.
Yes.
I think I actually read off these comments. Yep, we actually did read these comments off. Looks so good as I saw him. So you know what? In the interest of time, I want to ask you, because you've talked a lot about different things. What are your goals in 2024?
Me, it's one, get better myself, but also help out where I can. Help it out, either Chaos or a newer talent in the ring. because I am somewhat technically. I do know what I can do in the ring, but I can also help out people with the amount of tape that I study. I can always help out someone with a move or something, or help them come up with an idea or something. I'm always looking to help out backstage or stuff with either like a match or a way to pop the people, shall I say.
All right, let me break the. I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but let me break the fourth wall for a second. Let me break the fourth wall. Is there things that you'd like to do backstage that maybe you haven't done or that you've started to do that you can elaborate on? Don't get yourself in trouble here at Mr. Phillips. Let me just put it out there.
No, no, no,
But
no, no. I
but
won't.
no, but answer it. We love DBW, and I think that the company knows that we cover, and we love all the companies that come on
Yeah,
Sportswire for the most part. But are there things you've learned backstage that you like doing or you want to do more, or are there things that maybe you haven't done yet that you'd like to do backstage?
I've learned a lot. What I've learned a lot from being backstage. To, it's definitely a family atmosphere back there in
Very
DBW,
family. Yes, DBW is a very tight ship. We spoke about this many times.
and we all help each other out. We all bounce ideas off of each other, and whether it's gear or t-shirt ideas or whatever it is, we always bounce ideas off of each other. So it's not. It's more of for me. It's more of okay. What can like what's going on, and I'll just kind of just randomly go out and see what's going on or see what matches are happening, and then if people are going over something, I'll say, "Hey, how about we could we try it, maybe do it this way or whatever, and help them out a little bit." Like I did, I don't remember, I don't remember what it was exactly, but I've done it a couple. I've gone out and as people were trying to figure out how they'll set up a move and stuff like that, said, okay, what if you did it like this to where he comes off the rope and does it and do it a different way like that, but it also helps elevate the crowd. Like okay, stuff like that. So it's more for me a way of kind of helping matches out, but also not like being a part of the matches basically.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that because I would think somebody in your position who hasn't had a lot of ring experience would be comfortable and kind of maybe giving a thought or two on a match. Do you ever feel like you want to shy away from that or shy away from that because there are
I
some people?
a lot of times I do, and it's just because it's a lot of people that know what they're doing, so I kind of just shy away from doing it. And every once in a while, and like I said, it's every once in a while I'll give like a little tidbit here and there, here like say, how about you do it this way and try it out this way or something like that. Um, Actually, I do remember the match it was. Novin and a guy I have a lot of respect for what he's done in the ring. Um, Matt Moore.
Oh, of course we know Matt Moore. Yes, I know the name.
Um, well, they were setting up for the Tombstone,
Yep.
and
A DB
Novin's done it.
big history in DBW. Matt Moore has yes, a big
Yes,
history in DBW. Sure.
yes. And they were, and we were talking backstage and everything, and I was getting ready, and I mentioned to Navon and hey, why don't you try to set up the Tombstone this way, make it kind of interesting for you to set it up because he was going to do it off the second rope at that point. So he set it up and did it off the second rope, and it made it look fantastic. So it's something that just randomly, like, I can't say that I do it all the time, and I don't do it all the time. I like to help out where I can, basically.
Fair, and that's why I was curious because again, you haven't. Not to say that you don't have any experience, but you don't have, relatively speaking, the type of experience
No,
compared to some other people there. So I was
yeah,
curious on, how.
and it's a lot of the tapes that I study and stuff like that that I watch. I watch a lot
Let,
of the old
let me
school.
ask you, and I want to say hello to a couple of new people in a second. And let me ask you a real talk question for a second in two names in particular. One of them I brought up was Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is obviously one of the more successful wrestlers that is in the company because of, he's obviously been on cards with Hall of Famers, he's been world champions, and then there's somebody else that came back, I think is back in DBW now, and RJ Carnage. Let me ask you this question in particular to those two names. Do you find yourself backstage asking them for a lot of advice in Aaron Jones and, let's say, in RJ Carnage?
Aaron definitely, and RJ. Even when I started, I asked RJ a lot of questions. He was he was one of those first ones that I actually met in RCW.
Okay. Okay.
He was one of the first ones that I met in RCW. And right off, kind of right off the bat, I was a little hesitant
Well,
until I
because
kind of learned.
the family name, the family name.
Well, I didn't know he was related to Cyrus at that point. Yeah, I would just do him. I just do RJ Carnage whenever he first came in, and then after that, I heard what he like the process that he went through and everything like that, and I'm like, so he definitely has a lot of experience doing what he knows what to do. Maybe I could talk to him, see what I can learn, see what I can understand, pick the mind a little bit.
Well, those would be
And we
guys again that have had success. They've actually gone
exactly.
places, and they. It's different, when you speak to Aaron Jones and RJ Carnage versus Robert Pearson. And we love Robert Pearson, but it's a different
Yeah.
conversation. They've been in the independents and been won
Hmm.
championships. I love Robert Pearson. I don't know if I love the haircut still, but I love Robert Pearson. But it's a different type of advice, and I'm sure Robert would say the same thing. He would ask Aaron Jones for advice, and I listen. If it was me,
Hmm.
I would do the same thing. I would be like, "Mr. Jones, how are you, Mr. Jones? What can I do to improve, Mr. Jones? How do I
Yeah.
go out and approach myself as a wrestler so I can continue to improve and be in different places?" And I think that most people, and I think that's why DBW, by the way, is a very tight knit ship. And I think that's why
Hmm.
DBW is also a place that a lot of people, I think, want to come and stay in. And that's why I think wrestlers from all over come to DBW, because DBW is a place where, everybody's welcome. You've been welcomed. And I want to say hello to somebody. And Mr. Cassius Fatal, obviously, Mr. Fatal has certainly been a big part of things in DBW. And the company I
Yes.
spoke about earlier in the show, EBW Pro, forever EBW, because his cousin is also the infamous Montana, who's going into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame next month, February the 10th, coming up 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you, my friend, and certainly I wish you very well. And maybe one day we'll get you on Sportswire Radio. Hopefully you might be interested one day. I'd like to speak with you. Maybe some other people would like to hear that. So
That is actually a man I never got to face. Cassius Fatal is a man that I would love to come back, and I would love for him to come back at least for a match or two and come back and face me. Man has some serious talent.
yes, yes, he does.
He I and I want him. I wish him all the best in what he's doing in his future. And whether you come back to DBW, just know I'm ready for you.
And we would
I'm
definitely
ready
do
for.
the same. Yep.
I would love to step in. I would love for you to step back in that ring with me.
Well, you know what? I think never say never in this business. Never say never to anything. And you know what? Listen, anything can happen. And I would say, listen, stay tuned. Listen, the future is always endless possibilities, and we'll have to find out one day sooner rather than later. Let me ask you a few quick questions as we get into closing thoughts here. You've got about 2.5 months in the off season, and
Hmm.
how much tape will you study? And also, how motivated are you right now to come back in the ring for the DBW universe?
right now, tape setting has been pretty much every day I get off of work. I'm on watching tapes. Watching these. I'm watching Vader. I'm watching Bam Bam. I'm watching Yokozuna. I'm watching these guys, these big men that move like a freaking cruiserweight.
Is Vader an uncle of yours, by the way?
No,
You know that singlet you wore was almost like did he try to is he a
nope,
distant is uncle of his or what?
no. I
Some
didn't
people are not
even.
going to get that reference. Some people that will watch this will get the reference. Some people won't, and they'll say
Oh,
Tom.
I know which one you're talking about too.
Yeah, you got the reference. I don't know if some people will get the reference, but that was my first inclination. I'm like, did I ask him that the first time? But I'm like, I got to bring it up now that we're actually toward that. I'm like, is Vader like an uncle of yours, and I don't know about that? Did I do not enough research on
No,
that?
and it's like the only thing missing now is the big elephant
Yes,
mask.
yes,
Like,
yeah. That was the he had that in Japan. Yep, definitely. But I could definitely see that you're testing all the tapes. We'll definitely look forward to watching you, Sir Shore, in 2023. I'm very excited about DBW's next season. And I'm actually a little kind of sad right now because I feel like DBW just ended and I'm still immersed in it. And I'm like
yeah,
2 months without DBW is I don't know
but
what my life can be like without it.
but to basically get back to what you were saying about the universe, I'm hungry right now. Like, I am ready to get back in that ring. A 2 month break for me is not is too long for me. That 2.5 month break where I'm itching to get back in, it it's just one of those things that, yes, it sucks about wrestling. It's like being injured for so long, like you want to just get back in that ring as quickly as possible, but you gotta let your body heal. It's the same thing with off season. Yes, it's gonna go by slow, but once that time comes and you're ready to get back into that ring, it's gonna go by fast like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can look at it like in sports when a team that just misses the playoffs and the season ends, and you feel like you were right there, and now you've got all that time to kind of think about it and ponder it. So it's going to be up to you to use what you learned from that moment that you just had. You had a moment. You had a once in a
Yeah.
lifetime moment for a guy like you, only in this business really for a year. And to be able to go out there and be in a main event for a world heavyweight title match, you have to now use this to your advantage. You have to use this as motivation, as a springboard for a big 2024. It's going to be up to you because, like I said, you've only had a handful of matches in your career, and you just went up
Hmm.
toe to toe with the most dominant big man in the sport, a nationally ranked wrestler, a guy that could go up in there in pros and hold his own. And you have to now use that to your advantage. We're going to certainly find out. And you can watch, by the way, Merry Mayhem that just took place between Mr. Judgment, our guest here tonight, Big Tex. You are in Big Tech country, Tex country here. You can watch that on YouTube at Dominating Breakout Wrestling. You can also buy some merchandise there, bonfire.com, backspace store, backspace dominate, minus sign breakout, minus sign wrestling. And I want to say hello here before we get to closing thoughts here. Our ring announcer of XCW also used to do some ring work in her career, Trinity Parker. Trinity is one of our favorites here in Sportswire, and she's going to be here with us tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, as we induct Jackson Law into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame as the 10th member of the Hall of Fame. Listen, you win some gold this year. Listen, you know what? I'm going to make a promise to you, all right? You want me to make a promise to you? You ready for that?
What you got? What you got?
Let me tell you what. I'm going to give you I'm a very generous man. I'm a very giving man, and I'm a very charitable man. So, as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you win gold, you win gold this season coming up. I promise you, Big Tex, I'll induct you into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So you win some gold, all right? You win the Anarchy title, you win the Hub City title, you win the Global title, possibly, although I think Cyrus has got that one. You win the world title. You even win one half of those tag team championships in DBW. You do it at any point. I promise you, as I stated, I'm a man of my word. I don't need contracts. I don't need anybody to force me to do anything. I will induct you into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. How does that sound?
Well, Tom, I'll be ready.
Ooh, you'll be ready. Sounds like you got some extra motivation then, huh?
All champions of DBW were warned at Merry Mayhem.
They were warned. They were warned.
I'm now warning you again. 2024, I am hungry. I don't care who steps in my way. I am coming for championships.
Well, as somebody once said famously, 2024 is going to start with a roar, and I have no doubt that our guest tonight, the big man of DBW, Big effing Tex, or Big freaking Tex, as some even call him as well, is primed and poised to use what he learned in the main event of DBW's final show of the year in 2023, Merry Mayhem, for that DBW World Heavyweight Championship against Mr. Judgment, to use 2024 for him as a year with a roar and some, and to win some gold, whatever gold it might be, and to take his place when he wins that gold, whatever it might be, whenever, wherever, into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. We'll certainly see. March cannot come any sooner. We can't wait for DBW. But until then, my friend, obviously it has been a pleasure. Love having you on. Maybe we'll bring you back on before the season and we'll talk about some other things on your mind, anything else you're up to. Who knows? But you're Big Tech. So anyways, it's your, anytime, your soul is going to be ours, but you're actually, my soul is going to be yours because you're the big man of DBW and you're Big freaking Tex, and you can do whatever you want. So it can be Tex country at any given time. So if you have something to say and get off your chest, you're always welcome anytime. You can come on every day. In fact, if you even want, you can take the mic from me and just rename it Big Tex Radio if you want. For all I care.
No, I can't do that.
Oh, you never know. Listen,
can't do that.
I've actually.
If it's going to anyone before me, it's going to Omen Black. I'm not even I'm not even taking that one from him. That's all his.
And it's funny. I've actually tried to give him the microphone. He's like, no, I don't want it. I'm actually trying to pass the baton to somebody, but it seems like nobody wants the baton. So I'll keep the baton for now. We are getting ready for our 5th year anniversary on the 25th of January. But until then, champ, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, the floor is yours, and be my guest.
If you haven't already, go check out DBW. Just be ready for 2024 because 2023 was a stellar year for us. 2024, we're going to put on every show is going to go out. We're going to top the next one. We are ready to top what we did in 2023. And the Reverend here will be covering all details of what we do in DBW, no matter what.
Oh, yes, I will be. DBW is definitely, I can't wait to get my DBW shirt, brother. I'm really excited to wear my DBW shirt. Hopefully, it'll be more exciting for me than covering Robert Pearson's haircut.
Gosh.
I'm going to get killed for that.
Pearson, I know you're my brother, but come on, dude. You are getting so many jokes on Sportswire from this haircut.
Well, Cyrus is coming on the 29th, and he's going to say something about it. I got at DVD.
That's going to be brutal.
He's coming back on in 2 weeks from now, and apparently the week after that, Chase Wayfield's coming on. He's going to talk about it again. So I mean, I think the locker room's going to probably want to talk more again about the Pearson haircut than themselves. So I mean, that's just. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
DVG works with the man. So
I know, I'm aware.
He gets to see it pretty much all the time now.
Well, the other guys are like us, having fun with it. Chase Wakefield and certainly Ace Christian had fun with it. Corey Graves had fun with it. Obviously, Cyrus won't have fun with it. He'll be serious about it. I mean, something tells me Cyrus will turn it into the Book of Cyrus.
Cyrus will have a joke or two about it.
And he'll turn it into about himself. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, Chapter 5. And when Judgment comes on, if he even acknowledges Pearson's haircut, oh, boy. Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
This is diving into something really that more than it should be. That's why you want to follow Big Tex on Instagram and YouTube at Stone Cold 4215, Twitter at Wildman Cole, TikTok Wrestling Fan 1996. Definitely follow this man. I can assure you, this is a man you're going to be seeing in 2024 win gold in DBW and take his place in history in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. My friend, Happy New Year. Congratulations on all of your success. I have no doubt in 2024, you're going to definitely start the DBW season with a roar and shatter all the things that we saw from you in a short amount of time. And just maybe you'll help Chaos Conspiracy get to some gold and some much needed wins that they'll use for huge, huge things ahead in 2024 with yourself. Thank you as always, my friend.
Thank you, and I'm always glad to be here at Sportswire. So either it's talking here or I'm in the chat talking. I'm always there talking.
Well, we got a lot of we got DJW is going to be here, I believe, next weekend. So we're going to have DJW is going to be here. So I'm going to be speaking with him. So I'm sure you'll be here for that. And we have DVG the following weekend. We have Chase Wakefield the following weekend. Cyrus is here. We have Brandon Costelli's coming back. We have Mr. Judgment in February. So a lot of DBW stuff. So I think we're getting a lot of people. We're also working on the Heretics, the Brooklyn Prodigies. I mean, we have a lot of the guys I actually unfortunately couldn't schedule them, but we're going to reschedule them. And I'm sure, will be there for all of that. And that's why my name is the Reverend Tom Price, the voice of all wrestling, because all wrestling matters here on Sportswire Radio. You can check us out here on Sportswire Radio 6579 Backspace Streams. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. But until then, we were here with Big Tex of DBW, who was just in the main event of their last show of the year in Merry Mayhem. For more information for DBW, go to YouTube at Dominating Breakout Wrestling to watch Merry Mayhem, Twitter at DBW Wrestling, Facebook Dominating Backyard Wrestling, although it's being changed very soon, and bonfire.com, backspace store, backspace dominant, -sign breakout, -sign wrestling, where you can buy merchandise like I have, and you'll see that very soon on DBW shows here on Sportswire. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sports